I'm losing my thread. Yeah, so it's interiors. Yeah, that's the theme this time. And the other thing I was asking on the email was, I know like some people got back to me, but like trips out, anybody would want trips out, put some dates out there. Would any of those, anybody interested? I don't mind whether we do it or not.
Mondays or Fridays are better for me, the others on other days of the week I'm quite, I have other things in.
Yeah, so one, two
so
people might be
Mondays
interested.
are free.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in the Isle of Wight on Tuesday.
Yeah. You can come over, just come back with us for the day. If anyone wants to come down the Isle of Wight next week, I'll tell you where we are. Yeah, so one or two people have asked for trips, so I don't mind putting a couple of trips on, but if there's just a little bit of interest, I'll just do one. If there's more interest, I'll do maybe 3 or 4 or something like that. I'll probably what I'll do is, because I'm in Leigh on a Thursday morning, I'll probably do 1 or 2 maybe around Leigh on a Thursday afternoon, such as Old Leigh or Hatley. They're not too far to go. And then maybe the Monday and Friday, you know, maybe a bit further afield if anybody's interested, but if not, that's fine, it's not a problem sort of thing. Yeah,
well, I would be interested purely because I really need to get out and do planning out.
Yeah,
and I think it might give me the push to do it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's
so
right.
I would be interested.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll set a few dates then. So with interiors, we've got a few books, so yeah, just got some in, it's quite random. So some of these ones I had out last week anyway. So like Matisse, a lot of Matisse's work is interiors. So it's got a lot of, you know, model, and his paintings got a lot of models in an interior setting, quite bright and breezy and colourful and lively work. I was looking at my Degas books, and pretty much everything he did was in the interior. So things like the classic dancer ones, but an awful lot of them are in the interior. So there was that one, this one here. He did, and this kind of appeals to me. I quite like sort of fairly ordinary things. So you paint like shopkeepers, you know, doing the hats, getting the hats out and things like that. So again,
sorry, who was this one?
This is Degas.
Yeah, so it's not Degas.
Yeah, so there's yeah, so here's a good one to look at for interiors. Bonnard, if you know Bonnard's work, he did quite a lot of his interiors are his own home, and he used his wife a lot as a model. And the way he went about it was lots of little sketches, and then he kind of did the paintings more from memory. That's how he worked. So that's an example of one of his paintings. So that's that, but that's quite nice one too. Sort of you know, lots of kind of lovely warm colours and people looking through the window. Another of my favourites is Edward Hopper. So, and again, his there's lots of buildings, but again, lots of interiors. And his way of working was very much almost like recreating places. So he'd sketch rooms and then he'd get people to pose, like his wife to pose. I think that, you know, that might be more based on himself. And then he'd, you know, almost like recreate a place, but they're not necessarily identifiable places. Sometimes he's kind of made them up from lots of different sketches. So that's one of the ways that he works. It's quite interesting looking at the some of these page marked. You got the sketches he's done, and then he's created like a train interior. And again, they're quite ordinary subjects, and they're you know, I find very appealing, sort of ordinary places, sort of places where we go. So that's a few books there. So I brought a couple of paintings, and this was somewhere we stayed on holiday. So this was little landmark trust place, and I just sat and painted that one afternoon.
It's very shiny.
Yeah, I varnished that one.
The other side
It's quite a glossy varnish, that. Yeah. Sometimes
I think it works with that because you've got
Yeah.
like a shine on the table.
Yeah. With the oil paints, I think I varnished this one. Yes, I have. This one is quite shiny. So this one I've put on what they call retouching varnish, which is a thinner varnish. And although it's glossy, it doesn't have quite such a sheen. But I find it sort of pulls all the colours together, and sometimes the dark colours can go quite pale and sort of chalky looking. So again, you find that with acrylics, they're very matte looking. So I quite like varnishing my paintings just because it kind of unifies the painting. Some areas will sink and go a bit flat looking. So again, this one was my bedroom, and I just fancied trying like a big. Sorry.
Susie in the wardrobe.
Yeah, I was on the bed.
So that was what I did. Yeah, just a lot. With this one, I just like the idea of the sort of the outside and the inside, trying to get a bit of both really, and the way the light kind of from outside came in. So that's.
You might want to edit that.
We don't want to see your toes at the end of the bit.
No.
Right, so in terms of I've got loads of photos here, and I've sort of laid them out. Some are just interiors, and some have got people in. Okay, so if you wanted someone with people in there, further down that end, and I've kind of thought the simpler ones are more this end, the one, something simpler. And I thought I'll use this one as a demo, and it's almost like a still life really, this. But I thought it's quite a nice little scene. Maybe simplify things a bit and move things around a little bit. So we've got the flowers. The flowers are quite dominant, aren't they? So they could probably fit about how it's a bit dark on that. Well, actually, what I can do is sort of sketch out a fairly pale pencil, just where I'm going to be, just to work out the spacing. Let's put maybe a little bit smaller, make that tiny bit smaller. And then I'll go in with a slightly stronger colour. So I can start with the flower shapes. That's coming up. So I've got my guidelines where I'm going to work, and then I find that sometimes it's easier to work with the little shapes and just work outwards then. Just work my way up to the big shape. So we've got the central one goes there, another middle there. I've got various, I picked this as a subject just because I quite like interiors as a little bit of an alternative to landscapes. So that could be the flowers. And then I can work my way down to we're actually sitting in a jar, aren't we? So this was, again, another sort of holiday photo. There's a pile of junk there that I would leave out. That's sort of all my art stuff sitting on the table. And again, the chairs, I wondered if it'd be better if they were, like I've got a little bit of a chair there and a bit of a chair there, and it might be maybe not too symmetrical, but maybe just have a whole back of a chair there. So just moving things around a little bit, playing a little bit with the composition, and then have that one a little bit further away, but almost like see the whole of the back of the chair there. Yeah, that's reasonably central. I think probably having the fireplace reasonably central would work quite well. I don't want the flowers too close to that edge because they're just going to be an uncomfortable kind of composition. So, I don't mind making very slight changes to positions of things. And what ultimately we're trying to do with the painting is make an interesting set of shapes that fit well together formally, almost like a kind of abstract. And I'm thinking, well, that lines up with that, and that maybe isn't too good, so maybe I'll bring the fireplace over, or maybe bring the chair over. Bring the chair over to there. But at this stage, you've got an opportunity to just start with bigger shapes and just play really, just try and sort of work out the best positions. getting a tiny bit high. Let's bring that down a tiny bit. And then the mirror I quite like. Go there. And again, perhaps adjust the shape a bit. Try and making it slightly smaller so it doesn't absolutely line up with those bits. So this is obviously like your reference, your source material, but don't feel you've got to, as long as it looks believable as a painting, don't feel you've got to stick with it rigidly. That's all right, and then we've got a couple of tablets over here. And they're not exactly the same colours, which is quite nice really. This was actually a doorway to where the stairs were. And then tablets on this side. Okay, I'll just slightly adjust the position of those. Yeah, I think that would probably work for the composition. So perhaps another week I'll build that into that's when we're back after. So okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, I've got photos here if you want to use these.